The nation of Australia has exactly one boot. It is the R.M. Williams Chelsea, and they have brought me down here to Adelaide, Australia to see how they make Australia's favorite boot. So we're going to see it all from start to end. Let's get started.
Okay, so here we are at the start. So as a raw material, the leather comes out to us over a horse, what we call a horse or a rack. We have varying leathers depending on what job we're trying to do, so it'll vary. This is our classic, or the biggest modular leather we do is our yearling leather, which is for our comfort Craftsman or Craftsman boots.
Which is a year-old cow.
Which is
not quite calf, not quite calf.
It's not calf, but it's not an old cow, so or a bull, so it's not as scarred up, so it's in that middle range.
What percentage of like R.M. sales are a yearling Craftsman boot? Yesterday someone told me it was like over 90% or something. Do you know?
No. A bit lower than that, but not far off.
Yeah. It's definitely our best-selling boot.
So here we have our clickers, or our cutters, cutting the leather. So they're placing a knife. As you can see, it's a big area we cut for our one piece of boot. So they're placing the knives strategically around scars.
But what we need to make sure we do is have really good specifications for our leather, things like tear strength, moisture content, because this process puts it under a lot of pressure.
Yep.
So we have to make sure that we have really top quality leather, not just by aesthetics, but by structure.
So this is where all the magic happens as far as shaping the upper. So we go from a flat one piece of leather. Now we're trying to turn into that three-dimensional R.M. Williams shape.
A uniquely Chelsea thing, isn't it?
These are what we call our blotting machines. So these are all made for us locally. You can't buy these machines with this type of setup, where we've got the heater blades on the side. We're getting that very distinct R.M. Williams shape up the front.
Why do it like this?
This is how it was done back in the past, and we want to maintain that shape on the front. Then we come back to here, and what we do is a second cut, which brings the leather back to a set size and a set shape for us to complete the upper.
So that puts the shape into it, this unstretches it. The R.M. Williams Chelsea, one reason it's very famous is one piece of leather.
Correct, but that's the challenge for us. It's the one cut, but that's 100% where we want to be. It's where we started. It was born in the bush. It's all about keeping out dust and all that sort of less chance of breakages. Back in the day, a lot of horse riding, saddles, stirrups, side seams would get worn. So the philosophy really was born from the bush. From our lining perspective, it's the same process. We have a first cut of our lining. We use a different material for our lining, still cowhide. So this lines the boot on the inside. So after that process, then we have a final inspection, which we just make sure we haven't missed any scars, missed any things that might affect the boots as they go down the line. This process is what we call fitting up. This is where we start putting the upper together.
Okay, so you attach the elastic. So here's a question. I've got some cheaper Chelseas where after like a year of wear, the elastic on the side is like, it kind of doesn't have much bounce to it anymore. Inevitably, it loses its stretch.
Inevitably, it probably will, but ours, we have ours well into their 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's a high quality elastic we source specifically for us. That's one of the components we won't compromise in our sourcing. We've had this supply chain for elastic for up to 40 years now, but it's got very good longevity. Okay, so now we're stitching the upper components together, twin needle, much more consistent.
It wasn't until I made my own boots that like I had a better appreciation for, like, yeah, she's doing this quickly, and it's really easy for someone to think, oh, well, like that must be easy then. It's like, well, no, it's like, even though this is happening fast, this is highly skilled.
We used to do this all by hand up to about probably 10 years ago.
I'd lose a thumb, I reckon, first time I tried.
Yeah, it's a lot safer this way. The next operation is we turn the boots, stitch the back lining.
Is there anything, all these consequences of it being whole cut? I think a lot of people haven't thought about it.
Yeah, 100%. It's much more difficult. If it was a piece boot, it'd be out flat. We just turn it.
Yeah, you just,
because we continue maintaining that one piece, it does cause some issues for us, but obviously that's what we believe in.
Yeah.
Next steps is reinforcing our back seam reinforcement. This is where we're just going to stitch in some reinforcing tape with a twin needle down the back for strength.
Yeah, it's funny. You have one seam on the whole boot, so it's like you just got to put as much reinforcement. It's like the one seam.
It's critical.
You're going to reinforce it as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. So our next stage is we have to turn the uppers back inside out to stitch the back seam. So because of the one cut Chelsea boot, the process, we need to turn the boot twice.
My God, it's a lace-up boot in Australia. Look at this. This is like a snow leopard. This is very rare. Why do you think Australians just wear Chelsea boots? I mean, obviously there are other boots that exist here, but the vast majority of boots that you sell and that Australians wear It's a Chelsea boot.
The ease, the slipping them on, slipping them off, probably. The company was obviously born in the country, so it was functional for the country. There was a lot of horse riding, as I said before, a lot of boots through stirrups, so that's therefore the one piece was beneficial for dust, for any wear and tear on side things. But we're born in the country, we're born in the hot, dusty desert.
Oh, do you know what it is? It's our cowboy boot. It's our Western boot.
It's our version of Western boot.
A lot of Americans, the Americans are going to watching this. A lot of them don't quite realize that we had our Wild West as well. Like that's like a similarity that we share that we don't share with like England. You know, that's the reason why laceless, horse-friendly boots were like sort of kind of the first boots that we wore.
100%.
And while they had the more Western full-on boots in the US, here we went with Chelsea boots.
We've completed the closing area, as we said, upper area. Now we're going to go to the first stages of our making process. So we obviously attach the insole to the last being the plastic form that we make boots on.
Yes, what people might not know is that every this is like a fingerprint. Like every boot, shoe, footwear company, their last is like this very specific to them. It's a secret recipe, closely guarded secret.
Yep.
Is this the Craftsman?
That's the chisel toe.
Anyone who is a shoemaker knows like what they're seeing here is like the heart and soul.
Yeah, that's the key to fit. Okay, first steps is me preparing the upper for making is we put the toe reinforcement in. The next stage is to insert the heel counters to make sure this forms the back of the shoe to make sure it keeps shape in wear and for longevity. Our next stage is our 4-part lasting.
Okay, so the last thing, that's when it gets pulled over the last. You have a machine for the toe, the back, the sides. And what it gets attached to is the canvas rib underneath, is that right?
Canvas rib. We call it rib tape.
You got rib tape, all right. Yeah.
So it's put into the machine, the back's moulded, and then we have the machine head comes in and drives nails in to secure it to the insole. So that locks in the back of the boot. Now our next stage is a critical stage, which is what we call bench work. So with this, we obviously have the front of the boot moulded, we have the back of the boot moulded. What we need to do now, which is important to fit, is make sure that we pull the waist of the boot in and attach it to that rib tape to make sure we get a nice tight curve on the instep for fit.
It'll better conform to the last, right?
Yeah. Forms better to the last.
The average person probably doesn't realize like how important it is and how much attention is given to pulling the leather over the last.
Absolutely.
3 machines, but 4 steps because the 4th one's done by hand. Got it. Why is the side lasting done by hand, the other's done by machine? Like, why is this the one that's done by hand?
Because really we need to get a feel for both the upper and the waist. So we just find we can get a much better draft. If you were in a cement lasted factory, you would probably do it all by machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But because of our shape and our blocking, we were relying on making sure we form that down to the last, and that's really best done by hand. Once the boot and everything is fully elastic with the staples, we then we have 2 operations that are more about setting the upper up. We have what we call a wrinkle chase machine, or a machine that uses steam and hot air. What that does help is just make sure we get that final process of getting the leather down to the last, nice and tight.
It's a lot of work.
Next steps is we put the boots through a heat setter, and again this is the final part of setting up. The wrinkle chase is more specific and directed at certain areas. This is a general heating process which then forms that final form of the boot to the last to make sure we've got that shape that we're looking for. Next step is what we're attaching the leather welt.
So for people who don't know, this is where the boot becomes superior to a sneaker in some ways, in that this is where the fact that it's resolable really gets highlighted. Cheaper shoes, they're cemented, the top gets just kind of glued basically to the sole.
Correct.
What happens here with the Goodyear welt is that instead of the upper and the sole being attached to each other, they're both attached to a welt, a bit in between them, which is this leather running through here. It gets stuck to that cotton rib that we mentioned earlier. That makes it easier to resole many, many times because you don't compromise in the integrity of the upper when it's resoled.
This is what gives the product longevity.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people might not know that like Goodyear welted boots usually have a big old smear of cork in there under your foot. Why is there cork in my boot?
Yep, well, it's cork filler for 2 reasons. One, that it obviously fills the cavity created by the rib tape, because there is a cavity there, but also it's for cushioning, because the particular cork we use maintains its cushioning, and so in wear, it spreads the wear, you can feel it underfoot, and gives you that little bit more comfort.
Yeah, it's like an old-timey form of shock absorption.
Okay, so once we have what we call the boots fully lasted, that means it's got weld attached, the bottom's been glued, ready for a sole attachment. We'll start the final part of our making process. This is where we heat activate both the bottom of the boot and the sole. They're both been pre-glued and with pressure and heat. And when we say rubber, we use a nitrile rubber, so it's heat, oil and acid resistant.
So what does nitrile mean?
Nitrile just gives it it's just a chemical material that's in the sole, but what it allows it to do is be oil and acid resistant. So the rubber is very durable. We're all different cages, we're all different circumstances. Boots might be worn in a work environment, might be working in an office, so it just gives it that much more safer, long lasting.
Yeah, I talk all day about how great leather soles are, but like, I'm not gonna say like if you're on a factory floor you should wear leather soles. Like, no, that is the opposite of oil resistant.
What we're doing here is reducing the margin of material around the boot to a set distance that allows us to stitch the sole.
You could call it trimming the fat.
Trimming the back.
The final part of sole attachment. All right, so here the sole is getting stitched
to the welt stitch.
Okay. And so this stitch, it doesn't go all the way through to the insole, it goes through to the welt.
Goes through the welt.
Yeah.
Next process is heel attachment. This is done by driving nails from the inside of the boot, so we have to remove the last. We heat activate the bottom of the shoe with by glue. We heat activate the sole, so the two parts stick. This is what we call our trimming section, so high speed blade.
All right, you're not cutting bits off, you're sanding it down.
Yeah. So there's a lot of obviously hand skills and hand craft comes in here. We've been through the automated section pretty much. This is where a lot of the tidying up, all the operate, mostly done by hand.
So this machine, like, it speed dries paint, is that right?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
So the final stage of our edge finishing process, our heel polishing will button, so horsehair brushes, it removes the excess dye on the edge, and also, as well as wanters, brings up a nice shine and nice finish. Everything post that operation is really checking, cleaning, finishing, making sure the boots are being prepared to go into the box. We do an inspection to make sure there's any tacks, any staples, anything showing through the bottom. We have a camera.
Oh, that's what that camera's for? That's so cool.
Yeah. This is our final checking and cleaning area. So the guys here will be doing any cleaning of the uppers, any final touch-ups to make sure the boot looks crisp. Final stage.
There it is.
So the boots have been cleaned, they've been inspected. We're happy that they've been passed by an inspection. Each inspector will have an inspection code, and we're at the stage now where we're ready to box them and send them out to the customers. All right, there it is. Good for me. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed.